Hello everyone, and let's talk about the news that Dad Simulator 2018 is coming to PC. Of course, we are talking about God of War 2018, which was, recently voted the best game of all time in an IGN poll. I've been playing it lately on the PS5, and it's a decent game, but it's nowhere near the best game of all time. That poll was kind of flawed. I didn't get that poll. They had things like Rise of the Tomb Raider versus Half-Life 2. Now that just doesn't make sense. They're two totally different games. How are they comparable? Like, Rise of the Tomb Raider versus, I don't know, Uncharted, a game that it's closer to, would have been better. But anyway, the greatest game of all time then, Dad of Boy Simulator, is coming to PC. It's coming on January the 14th. 2022. Hopefully the world won't collapse in on itself by then. That's what you've got to hope for these days. But yeah, God of War is a decent game. It's a decent kind of a reboot for the franchise, and it wasn't too bad. A game, not the greatest game of all time. So the PC version will have true 4K resolution. Ooh. Unlocked frame rates as well. That's good. Enhanced graphics as well, and it's also going to have DLSS support, so that's going to be good. Good for the frame rate at least. So you can have it at true 4K resolution, or you can have DLSS 4K, which in many respects sometimes is better than native 4K. DLSS quality mode is better in some instances. So that's good. So that means we'll get boosted frame rates as well. The deep learning something something, or deep learning super sampling as I call it. Yeah, so DLSS, good for that. I mean, that's good. It will give us a nice frame rate. It's also got NVIDIA Reflex as well, which only tends to be useful. It kind of boosts the response time of the GPU at least. It allows the game to respond faster to your inputs. So that's interesting. Normally that's kind of reserved for multiplayer games. Normally you put it on in games like Call of Duty or something like that. Or Battlefield, but I'd be interested to see it in a single player game. I'd rather have it than not have it. My GPU supports Reflex, and it's pretty good. Actually, I use it. But yeah, it's mostly used for competitive multiplayer games, so it'll be interesting to see how that works. It's interesting to see that PlayStation Studios now has their own store page on Steam, so they are going to bring more games, more PlayStation games to the PC, and I think it's a good thing overall. I don't get these Sony fanboys who are just kind of lose their mind whenever a or a former PlayStation exclusive game comes to PC. It makes sense for Sony. It allows them to tap into a bigger market, because God of War has probably saturated the market in terms of the PlayStation. It definitely has, because I mean it's available on the PlayStation Plus collection. If you own a PS5 and have PlayStation Plus, you can download God of War as part of that. So they're kind of just giving it away on the PlayStation consoles, on the PS4 and PS5. So yeah, I don't think they've kind of saturated that market. It did come out, of course, in 2018. So there's not really a big market for them to explore unless they just up the texture quality and charge you again for it on PS5, which a lot of people probably won't fall for again. I mean, they tried it at Ghost of Tsushima as well. They tried that again. The only difference between the PS4 Pro version that runs on the PS5 and the native PS5 version is the resolution. They've added in some haptic support for the controller, but that's not worth paying for. Really, all it is 4K instead of checkerboarded 4K. Still runs at 60 FPS. Again, God of War on the PS5, there is a 60 FPS patch for God of War. There was an update for that, so you can play at 60 FPS, at least on the PS5. It's just the PS4 Pro version that runs on the PS5. It's not a native PS5 app, so you don't get full support for the 8 cores and 16 threads, and you don't get the RDNA 2 full feature set there. And you also don't get access. You can store it on the SSD, but it won't run at the full speed of the PS5's SSD. Because again, it's not a native PS5 app. So it's going to have control customization, the PC version. You can use your DualShock 4 and your DualSense with it, and it'll have a wide range of gamepads. Imagine the Xbox gamepads will be fine. Horizon Zero Dawn and Days Gone. They worked fine with Xbox controllers. So again, mouse and keyboard support will be interesting for it. I don't think it's really a game that really lends itself to mouse and keyboard, to be honest. It probably will be better with a controller, again, because it was designed that way for the PlayStation. But yeah, I think it's a good thing. Again, they're opening up the audience. It's a bigger audience. It's a chance to re-release the game. It's a chance to generate, generate sales for the game as well, and generate a bit of interest for the game. Because again, interest for the game will run flat. I mean, again, it's available on the PlayStation Plus collection on the PS5. You don't even have to buy it. You just have to subscribe to PlayStation Plus to play it. So again, if you're a PS5 owner and you're subscribed to PS Plus, you can just download it, and then you've got God of War 2018 to play. It is a decent game though. The combat is not great. Hopefully it has an FOV slider, because that's one of the things I don't like about it is the FOV is far too close to Kratos' back, really. It's hopefully you can zoom out a little bit more with the PC version. That's one thing I really want. But it is good to see it have DLSS. It means that higher frame rates are in order with minimal impact to the visuals, because DLSS is pretty good. Pretty good at reconstructing the image from a lower resolution. So hopefully that works out well for it. Hopefully it's DLSS. Well, DLSS 2.1 is the latest version. It probably will have the latest version of DLSS in there. So that is good to see that it's coming to PC. And hopefully, they can get. Hopefully, it's a decent port. Although the ports have got better. Horizon Zero Dawn was a bit rough. Days Gone was a bit better. Days Gone used Unreal Engine 4 though, so that was probably a bit easier to port to the PC than the what was the Guerrilla Games engine called again? The Decima engine. That was it. The Decima engine. There was only one other PC game that ran the Decima engine, and that was Death Stranding. That was the PC version of that. So yeah, documentation might not be there. I don't know what engine God of War uses. I don't know if it's their own customized engine or what. I don't know. But hopefully it's a decent port. We've seen PC ports get better. Again, as the studios get more familiar with it. I mean, Sony they bought, what was it, Blue Point Games they bought, Sony, and they're PC port specialists. So you would imagine that they are pretty good at that, although the developer is listed on Steam as Sony Santa Monica Studio, so I don't know, maybe they're doing the port natively themselves, but who knows. Hopefully it's a decent port anyway. But anyway, that is all for this video. Thank you for joining me, and we'll see you again soon, and goodbye.